No.
Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
What are we doing, Holmes?
I don't know. I mean...
Theft, perhaps?
I have a hard time believing...
Yeah, that one doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, this
Revenge, Holmes?
Revenge could be a possible motive, but with one small
Okay, so just reset things. Is that a sarcastic jibe here? No, okay, so
Black magic?
I'm not...
Homicidal insanity, Holmes.
It is...
So it is just going back through this, okay.
Theft.
I
I
was
have
right.
a hard time believing that...
Revenge, Holmes?
Click, 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 and then that one.
A personal drama?
Love.
So, probably madness.
Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
So what do I need to do then? So this is the stuff we did. So this is all the kind of the observations we made. But I don't know what I'm meant to do at this point. What are we meant to do? These are through this. What could have pushed someone? Conclusions. Oh, these are the conclusions we've developed. Okay. Oh, hello. Oh my goodness, are we going to do even bigger deductions over everything? Ooh, that does sound fun. And these are just all the things, okay. So I'm assuming we've not actually finished this, so I need to work out what I'm doing. Like, I mean, I could just go all of them.
Well, we are still missing certain...
Which we know is incorrect. That makes no sense. I mean, this is the thing. From what Holmes has said himself, revenge makes no sense because it's not a aha kind of moment. It's not love because it's someone she didn't know.
Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
Like what? Ugh. What do I need to do? Communicate.
Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
Is there something else I need to look at? Just something.
I need more information.
About what? I assume he's like, oh, we need to get more information about this. But...
Black magic?
I'm not terribly interested in the occult or black...
So he's saying...
Homicidal insanity.
These two are right.
It is indubitable that the man who did this to Polly Nichols is not of his full senses.
And you're going to argue against these.
Theft, perhaps.
I have a hard time believing that someone would attack poor Polly so fiercely just to rob her of a few coins.
Like, these three just don't seem
A
logical.
personal drama.
Love can certainly lead to many a drama, but we have to consider the fact that the victim didn't know her attacker.
Right. Oh, I see. Oh, it's linking me back here, is it? Victim wasn't afraid, so that argues against the revenge idea. Was dead before being stretched out. Took place on the process, strangled, but was a strong man. So, like, not afraid implies these two weren't. Maybe not that one?
Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
What information? Like, if I say let's go back to Whitechapel, you'll probably say, oh no, I still need to do this. Sure there's a map button.
I have no reason to go that way.
Why not?
I have no...
Map of London. Is there anything around? Okay, so the only place we can go is where we already are. Okay, maybe I have to actually read the documents here. Hang on. Notes. Ground was washed, but on the walls. Corpse on its back, legs straight, slightly spread, left hand touching the stable door. Small pool of blood, 6-inch diameter, flowing in the gutter. Skirt raised up to the middle of the body, black bonnet near left hand. According to the reenactment of the events we carried out, victim didn't have her throat slit while standing. Inevitably have been blood on the walls. And yet there wasn't any. There is no reason that the murderer placed himself to the side to strangle the victim. His grip would have been too imperfect and would have allowed this woman to scream. Strangulation from behind, in going behind was a prelude to the commerce. The murderer grabbed his victim's throat with one hand, pressing her against himself, all the while holding her thumb shut with the other. The bruise from a thumb on the right jawbone indicates that the right hand was preventing screams. Oh, but this position isn't the most convenient. The victim wasn't lying on the ground before dying. The filth and dampness of the street prevent all intimate relations in this kind of position. Strangulation standing face to face. The murderer was facing his victim and strangled her while pressing her against the wall. The grip on the neck was exact, its effect instant. By crushing his victim's glottis, she lost consciousness and he killed her in a score of seconds. The bruise from a thumb on the right maxillary indicates the right hand served to keep the mouth shut. Stronger left across the throat. Indeed, it may have been like this that things happened. That makes no sense, because our conclusion is the exact opposite. Why are you... It's his... That's why I put the right hand there and the left hand here, and I got told off for it. And now you're saying, no, that was right. Right. The murderer didn't stab the victim in the stomach. He wanted to be sure the victim was dead, or at least that she wouldn't be able to utter in the slightest during his vile acts. If the murderer was kneeling alongside, he would have risked seeing blood flowing towards him in an uncontrollable manner. Nonetheless, this remains a possibility. If the murderer was kneeling at the top of the head, with the left hand, there is little room to use the knife this way. This remains possible, but unlikely. With the right hand still kneeling at the top of the head, this murderer would have thus used his knife with the right hand. Is this likely? Astride the victim. If the murderer used his right hand, he had no room and the mortal wound would have been located to the right more so than the left. But this remains a possibility, although unlikely. In using the left hand, the murderer was able to make the different wounds to the neck. The wounds observed could actually have been made with the left hand. Conclusion. The victim was certainly dead before being laid down. The heart stopped, blood flowed under the effects of gravity and not in heavy spurts, which would have stained half the road. In this position on the back, the blood spread and would have soaked the part of her clothes in contact with the ground. This providential sponge would have prevented the killer from being covered in blood, at least with regards to his legs. Our actions that night didn't alarm anyone. The victim's business was even more discreet. By acting in silence, we proved something. The crime definitely took place here. Given the state of the woman's wounds, any possible movement would have left a mess of prints around the body, and there weren't any. But the victim and her murderer were able to come here without making noise, searching a quiet location. Subsequently, the murder was then able to be committed without the least cry. Oops, no, I do not want to do that. Right. What am I meant to do with these then? Because you keep telling me they're wrong. Do I say yes to all of them?
Well, we are still missing certain information.
In order to investigation. Right. Theft makes no sense. She was poor. She didn't have any money apart from her hat, it seems. She didn't...
Elementary. Very well, Watson. I think that we've exhausted the topic. Take a rest and we'll speak again later.
You said it couldn't have been. It most likely wasn't revenge.
Ah, it would seem that the investigation is advancing, Holmes. Yesterday's Star said that a suspect is in the hands of the police, a man with a rather sinister reputation.
I was about to join you in your optimistic outlook until you informed me that the good news came from the press, Watson.
But surely they wouldn't invent the fact that the police are holding a suspect, or the acts that are attributed to him.
You will have an exact answer to these two questions in less than 50 seconds, Watson.
Pardon?
Enter, Inspector.
Good day.
Dear Watson, allow me to introduce Inspector Aberline, Inspector Dr. Watson.
Inspector?
To what do we owe the honour of your presence, Inspector?
I heard that the two of you made your way to Whitechapel a few days ago. Your arrival, you are aware, coincides with a very serious affair which our police service is going to great lengths to solve and which is creating strong tensions in the area.
Pardon me, but haven't you arrested someone? A certain Leather Apron?
Absolutely not. The man who hides behind this name is indeed being actively searched for by the force. Besides, nothing at the moment suggests that he is the Bucks Row murderer.
There, you've been enlightened, Watson. Now it is our turn to answer Inspector Aberline's questions.
Indeed. I will be brief and precise. Do you intend to investigate this case, or have you already started?
It is to be of service to a friend that I went to Whitechapel. We did, out of curiosity, familiarize ourselves with the preliminary reports, and we made our way to the scene of the crime. Our conclusions are slim, as are the clues. Having not been officially appointed by a client, I believe that my intervention in this business will end there.
Very well. To be frank, you take the weight off my shoulders by distancing yourself from the case. Our image isn't very good, to say nothing of what the press puts us through. Thus, if overnight they found out that you were on the case, people would turn against us.
And they would pester me, overwhelm me, and finally make me out to be responsible for the inevitable failure such a scenario entails. Neither you nor I wish for this to happen. I know that your time is precious, Inspector. I will send you a note regarding my conclusions shortly.
With pleasure. Gentlemen?
Do you think that he will find the murderer?
The chances are slim to non-existent. It is 7 days now, short of a confession from the murderer himself.
And you will not go further?
You heard the Inspector, Watson. My presence in Whitechapel would hinder, which doesn't mean that we will drop the case.
How is that?
The Inspector spoke of me, but not of us. It is you, Watson, who will lead the investigation tonight. It is you who will bring to the police station the little note that I will write regarding our conclusions. Despite the late hour, there is nothing to stop you from making inquiries about this famous Leather Apron while you are there.
What a ridiculous name. Leather Apron. What am I looking at? Oh, the new one. I see. Is there a thing about the, some of these are interesting, okay. Kind of a bit annoyed. Like, he says, what? No, I'm going to look at this. Wrench could have been, could be a possible motive, with one reservation. We have reason to believe that the victim considered a murderer to be a typical client. That, to me, is a big argument against it, but alright. Alright, new newspaper. Leather Apron, more about his career, his latest movements in the borough. Large circulation on the evening. 180. Wouldn't say which borough, I assume it's part of the Whitechapel. The sense of fear which the murder of the unfortunate woman Nichols has thrown over the neighbourhood, and especially over her companions, shows no sign of decreasing. A number of the street wanderers are in nightly terror of Leather Apron. One of our reporters visited one of the single women's lodging houses last night. It is in Thrall Street, one of the darkest and most terrible-looking spots in Whitechapel. The house keeps open till 1 o'clock in the morning and reopens again at 5. In the house nightly are 66 women, who get their bed for fourpence. The proprietor of the place, who is also owner of several other houses of a similar character in the neighbourhood, told some gruesome stories of the man who has now come to be regarded as the terror of the East End. Night after night, he said, had women come in a fainting condition after being knocked about by Leather Apron. He himself would never be out in the neighbourhood after 12 o'clock at night except with a loaded revolver. The terror, he said, would go to a public house or coffee room and peep in through the window to see if a particular woman was there. He would then vanish, lying in wait for his victim at some convenient corner, hidden from the view of everybody. The police are making efforts to arrest him, but he constantly changes his quarters. Some of the unfortunate women state that he is now in one of the low slums in the borough. One of them said she saw him crossing London Bridge as stealthily as usual, with head bent, his skimpy coat turned up about his ears, and looking as if he were in a desperate hurry. The hunt for Leather Apron began in earnest last evening. Constables 43 and 173, J Division, into whose... That doesn't make any sense. They don't have any names, they're just numbers. Into whose hands Leather Apron fell on Sunday afternoon, were detailed to accompany Detective Enright of the J Division. in a search through all the quarters where the crazy Jew was likely to be. They began at 10:30 in Church Street in Shoreditch, rumour having located the suspected man there. They went through lodging houses, into pubs, down side streets, threw their bull's-eyes into every shadow, and searched the quarter thoroughly, but without success. Bull's-eye obviously being a particular kind of lantern. So they're shining their lights into the shadows. The hunt continued later down in the Brick Lane neighbourhood, Florentine Lane being Leather Apron's preferred lodging place lately. He was not found here, however, and the search, which then took the direction of the London hospital, resulted in nothing. It is the general belief that the man had left the district. The clue furnished by the woman who denounced the man on Sunday is a very unfortunate one. Her offer to prove by two women that Leather Apron was seen walking with the murdered woman in Baker's Row at 2 o'clock last Friday morning is the most direct bit of evidence that yet has appeared. His conduct on Sunday was as usual. He never answers a question when it is put to him, and only speaks under strong compulsion. Mike, the grocer in George's Yard, dwelt a long time last evening on this peculiarity. He knows Leather Apron very well, and has known him for 6 years. He says that the man is unquestionably mad. Wasn't it Bucks Row, not Baker's Row? Is unquestionably mad, and that anybody who met him face to face would know it. That his eyes are never still, but are always shifting uneasily, and he never looks anybody in the eye. Leather Apron used to live in the lodging house around the corner from the grocery, and was turned out of there some months ago with an order not to return. The lodging house is a few doors below the model doorway, in which the Turner woman was found with 39 stabs. Very interesting. I can't remember who these people are. I need to reread the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I've got a complete thing of all the Sherlock Holmes stuff that Doyle wrote. I should probably read that. Where's the falls? There they are. There's the Reichenbach Falls. Random harpoon. There's a map of London. How delightful. I assume that's Irena Adler. Well, I think actually that's probably a decent place to put a cut in. We'll go and investigate Whitechapel a little bit more next time, as we head down as Dr. Watson, taking this note and maybe getting some other bits of information. Just, as it happens, as we're there. Are these world maps? I assume they would be, but I might be wrong. Well, yes, there we go. Advancing next time. More puzzles and whatnot. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.